Question 1. Under the assumption that Mr. Thompson discovers visible mold behind drywall in a commercial office space after a recent leak, what should be his immediate course of action? A. Remove the drywall without containment to expedite cleanup. B. Establish containment and negative air pressure before remediation. C. Apply a biocide directly to the moldy area without protective equipment. D. Leave the area alone to see if mold dies naturally. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Immediate containment and negative air pressure are critical to prevent mold spores from dispersing to unaffected areas. Removing drywall without containment risks cross-contamination, while applying biocides with a PPE endangers health. Leaving mold untreated allows growth and structural damage. Following HRConquer standards, proper containment, worker protection, and negative air machines minimize airborne spores. Ensure safe remediation. Question 2. In the context of airflow dynamics, Garcia notices that a school classroom consistently has musty odors despite clean HVAC filters. Which strategy best addresses potential mold contamination? A. Increase supply air without examining duct cleanliness. B. Conduct duct inspection and ensure negative pressure zones are controlled. C. Turn off the HVAC system to allow air stagnation. D. Use open windows only to ventilate the space. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Turning off the system can exacerbate mold growth by creating stagnant air and high humidity. Proper duct inspection identifies mold colonies or debris, and negative pressure management prevents spore migration. Increasing supply without duct inspection merely circulates spores, while open windows are insufficient for controlled airflow. Remediation best practices involve controlling contamination, maintaining and addressing moisture sources according to industry standards. Question 3. Given the circumstances, Mr. Lee observes condensation on cooling coils of a roofed-up HVAC unit during humid days. What principle should he apply to prevent mold growth? A. Increase refrigerant charge to low coil temperature. B. Improve drainage and maintain coil temperature above dew point. C. Apply antimicrobial spray daily to the coils. D. Cover the coils to prevent moisture contact. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Maintaining coil temperature above dew point and ensuring proper drainage prevents persistent moisture, which is essential for mold prevention. Simply spraying biocides does not address underlying moisture, and covering coils can trap humidity, worsening mold proliferation. Correct HVAC design involves managing heat transfer, airflow, and condensation control to minimize microbial growth, aligning with industry guidelines for system maintenance and moisture management. Question 4. From a practical standpoint, Nguyen is tasked with evaluating a facility that reports employee respiratory complaints. She finds elevated humidity and musty odors. What initial assessment step is most appropriate? A. Conduct a visual inspection and moisture mapping. B. Apply a disinfectant spray throughout the building. C. Replace all ceiling tiles and carpets immediately. D. Increase ventilation without inspection. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. A thorough visual inspection with moisture mapping identifies mold-affected areas and potential water intrusion, forming the basis for targeted remediation. Spraying disinfectants or replacing materials without assessment may not remove hidden mold and could spread spores. Increasing ventilation alone does not address contamination. Following mold remediation best practices, assessment guides containment, removal, purification procedures, ensuring safe and effective remediation. Question 5. Considering the evidence, Mr. Patel notices that a recently installed duct system has uneven airflow and visible condensation in supply lines. Which approach aligns with mold prevention principles? A. Seal leaks, balance airflow, and maintain insulation to prevent condensation. B. Apply a biocide to the ducts immediately. C. Open dampers fully to increase airflow regardless of design. D. Ignore minor condensation as it will evaporate naturally. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Sealing leaks, balancing airflow, and insulating ducts are foundational to preventing condensation, a primary contributor to mold growth. Applying biocides without addressing moisture is ineffective. Opening dampers indiscriminately can cause pressure imbalances, creating further condensation and mold risks. Effective HVAC remediation involves controlling moisture, ensuring proper airflow, and maintaining system integrity consistent with ASHRAE and ICHC guidance. Question 6. While examining a residential HVAC system, Kim discovers a water leak in the drain pan beneath the evaporator coil. What should be her first priority? A. Replace the evaporator coil immediately. B. Stop the water source, dry the area, and assess for mold contamination. C. Spray the area with bleach and continue operation. D. Ignore the leak since it's minor and seasonal. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Stopping the water source and thoroughly drying the affected area addresses the root cause of mold growth. Immediate coil replacement or bleach application does not prevent further contamination if moisture persists. Ignoring the leak allows spores to proliferate. Industry best practices emphasize moisture source identification and remediation prior to mold removal to ensure the long-term success of HVAC system maintenance and occupant safety. Question 7. In light of recent developments, Mr. Robinson is evaluating a facility where previous mold remediation failed. Air samples indicate high spore counts in HVAC ducts. What is the most effective remediation strategy? A. Replace all ductwork entirely. B. Apply containment, negative air HEPA cleaning, and verify post-remediation results. C. Increase ventilation speed to dilute spores. D. Spray biocide throughout the building indiscriminately. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Applying containment with negative air pressure and HEPA cleaning followed by post-remediation verification effectively removes mold and prevents cross-contamination. Duct replacement may be necessary only if structural damage exists. Increasing ventilation without remediation circulates spores, and indiscriminate biocide application does not address hidden contamination. Following HRConquer and industry practices ensures safe, effective, and verifiable remediation outcomes. Question 8. Through careful analysis of building materials, Owens identifies that wet insulation behind walls contributes to ongoing mold issues. Which principle should guide her corrective action? A. Remove moisture-damaged insulation and remediate surrounding areas. B. Apply a sealant over the wet insulation. C. Leave insulation and install a dehumidifier only. D. Paint walls to hide visible mold. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Moisture-damaged insulation acts as a nutrient source for mold and must be removed, with surrounding areas remediated to prevent regrowth. Sealing or painting over wet insulation traps moisture, exacerbating contamination. Using a dehumidifier alone may reduce humidity but does not remove existing mold. Effective remediation follows established standards, targeting both contamination and moisture sources to ensure long-term building safety. Question 9. With respect to HVAC system maintenance, Mr. Hernandez finds that drain pans and coils have accumulated biofilm over time. What is the optimal corrective approach? A. Clean components thoroughly, maintain airflow, and inspect regularly. B. Apply a surface coating to prevent further growth. C. Ignore accumulation as it's part of normal operation. D. Replace HVAC units entirely. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Cleaning drain pans and coils, maintaining proper airflow, and conducting regular inspections effectively reduce mold proliferation and biofilm buildup. Surface coatings alone do not eliminate existing growth, and ignoring biofilm allows spores to spread. Full unit replacement is unnecessary unless structural or performance issues exist. Preventive maintenance aligns with HVACR best practices, focusing moisture control, system hygiene, and occupant health protection. Question 10. During the process of mold remediation, Bennett needs to ensure worker safety while cleaning an attic with visible mold growth. Which practice best satisfies safety and regulatory standards? A. Use proper PPE including respirators, gloves, and protective clothing, and establish containment. B. Wear only gloves and proceed without containment to expedite the process. C. Open windows and use a fan with a PPE. D. Apply antimicrobial spray and continue working in normal attire. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Proper PPE and containment are critical to protect workers from inhaling spores and prevent cross-contamination. Using only gloves, relying on ventilation, or applying chemicals without full EPE exposes workers to health risks and violates OSHA standards. Following industry best practices, workers should be fully protected with containment barriers and negative air equipment employed to maintain remediation conditions. Question 11. From a practical standpoint, Mr. Wilson inspects a commercial building and finds persistent moisture behind ceiling tiles despite new HVAC filters. What is the most appropriate initial action? A. Remove the ceiling tiles immediately without containment. B. Identify the moisture source and implement containment before remediation. C. Spray disinfectant on the affected tiles. D. Increase HVAC airflow to dry the area. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Identifying the moisture source ensures remediation targets the root cause. Containment prevents spores from spreading to unaffected areas. Removing tiles without containment risks cross-contamination. Spraying disinfectant without addressing moisture is ineffective, and simply increasing airflow does not control hidden mold. Effective remediation aligns with HVACR and industry standards, emphasizing source control, contamination management. Question 12. Considering the evidence is Ramirez observes black mold inside a residential HVAC duct system. Which approach best ensures safe and effective remediation? A. Replace the ductwork entirely. B. Use HEPA filter negative air, containment and thorough cleaning. C. Increase HVAC airflow to dilute airborne spores. D. Spray biocide throughout the ducts indiscriminately. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. HEPA filtered negative air with containment and professional cleaning removes mold effectively and prevents spore migration. Increasing airflow alone circulates spores without eliminating the problem. Full duct replacement may only be needed if structural damage exists, and indiscriminate biocide use does not remove hidden contamination. Best practices prioritize containment, cleaning, and post-remediation. Question 13. While analyzing building envelope dynamics, Mr. Davis notes condensation forming on poorly insulated exterior walls. What is the best preventive measure against mold growth? A. Improve insulation and vapor barrier integrity. B. Apply antimicrobial spray to the walls. C. Increase interior heating to evaporate moisture. D. Ignore condensation as it's temporary. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Proper insulation and a continuous vapor barrier reduce surface condensation, eliminating the moisture mold requires. Spraying antimicrobial agents only treats symptoms and does not prevent future growth. Simply increasing interior heat may create uneven moisture migration, and ignoring condensation allows mold proliferation. Building envelope remediation should focus on structural and moisture control. Question 14. Under the assumption that HVACR finds biofilm and debris accumulating in evaporator coil drain pans, what is the most effective long-term solution? A. Routine cleaning, airflow maintenance, and periodic inspections. B. Apply biocides after every month of operation. C. Replace the coils annually. D. Increase fan speed to prevent stagnation. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Routine cleaning, proper airflow, and inspection prevent mold growth effectively. Biocides alone do not remove physical debris, and frequent coil replacement is unnecessary if maintained. Increasing fan speed without addressing moisture or debris does not solve the root cause. Long-term prevention relies on proper maintenance practices aligned with ASHRAE and HVACR recommendations. Question 15. In terms of psychrometrics, Mr. Allen observes indoor humidity levels consistently above 65% during summer. Which action best prevents mold growth? A. Dehumidify indoor air and maintain relative humidity below 60%. B. Open windows for natural ventilation. C. Increase HVAC supply air without controlling humidity. D. Apply biocide sprays on surfaces regularly. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Maintaining indoor relative humidity below 60% reduces mold growth potential by controlling the water activity that supports microbial proliferation. Simply ventilating or increasing supply air may not reduce moisture content effectively. Surface biocides address existing mold but do not prevent new growth. Psychrometric principles guide humidity management to maintain a safe indoor environment according to best practices. Question 16. Given the circumstances, is Thompson finds condensation on metal duct surfaces in a gym, what is the most effective corrective action? A. Insulate ducts and ensure proper airflow to eliminate surface moisture. B. Spray biocide on duct exteriors. C. Cover ducts with plastic sheeting. D. Ignore condensation, it will evaporate naturally. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Proper insulation and airflow management prevent condensation, reducing mold risk. Spraying biocides addresses contamination but not the moisture source, while covering ducts traps humidity and may worsen mold growth. Ignoring condensation allows mold colonies to establish. Corrective action requires eliminating moisture and maintaining thermal and airflow control consistent with HVAC system design principles. Question 17. While evaluating post-remediation verification, Brooks notices residual mold spores in air samples despite clean surfaces. Which approach best ensures safe reoccupancy? A. Conduct additional containment cleaning and retest air quality. B. Assume surface cleaning was sufficient and allow occupants to return. C. Spray the entire building with antimicrobial fog. D. Increase HVAC ventilation without further remediation. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Retesting and additional containment cleaning confirm that both visible and airborne mold have been adequately addressed. Assuming surface cleaning is sufficient risks occupant exposure. Fogging may temporarily reduce spores but does not remove contamination from hidden areas. Increasing ventilation alone circulates spores. Post-remediation verification is an essential step according to ECHIC standards. Question 18. Through the lens of HVAC-specific remediation is Morgan finds microbial growth in the cooling coil drain pan. What is the proper sequence to remediate? A. Stop water intrusion, clean the pan, and establish negative air if needed. B. Apply antimicrobial spray immediately without removing water. C. Leave the pan alone and increase airflow. D. Replace the entire HVAC unit. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Stopping water intrusion and cleaning the pan addresses the moisture source and removes mold. Applying antimicrobials without removing standing water is ineffective. Increasing airflow alone does not remove mold, and full unit replacement is rarely needed unless severely damaged. Proper sequence prioritizes source control, cleaning, and verification consistent with industry standard HVAC remediation practices. Question 19. In comparison with general building maintenance, Foster observes mold growth in a recently renovated attic due to high humidity. What is the most effective preventive measure? A. Install dehumidifiers and monitor moisture regularly. B. Paint over mold-affected areas to mask the problem. C. Ignore humidity fluctuations. D. Apply bleach to all surfaces regardless of visible mold. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Controlling humidity with dehumidifiers and monitoring prevents mold by addressing the underlying moisture source. Painting over mold only masks it and allows continued growth. Ignoring humidity or indiscriminate bleach application fails to remove or prevent microbial colonies. Effective attic remediation involves moisture management, proper ventilation, and material evaluation according to best practices. Question 20. Taking into account personal protective equipment (PPE) requirements, Hughes is supervising a mold remediation project in a commercial building. Which practice aligns with regulatory standards? A. Ensure all workers wear respirators, gloves, and protective clothing while in containment areas. B. Allow workers to use gloves only for minor visible mold. C. Ventilate areas and rely on air dilution with a PPE. D. Apply antimicrobial spray while workers wear normal attire. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Full EPE protects workers from inhaling spores and prevents contamination spread. Using gloves only relying on ventilation or applying chemicals without proper protection exposes workers to health risks and violates OSHA and industry guidelines. Regulatory compliant remediation ensures containment, protective measures, and monitoring of airborne spores during mold removal. Question 21. While examining a university HVAC system, Mr. Clark notices a persistent musty odor in the library despite regular filter changes. What is the most appropriate corrective action? A. Inspect and clean ductwork while maintaining negative air pressure and containment. B. Spray disinfectant into the supply vents. C. Increase airflow to dilute the odor. D. Replace all filters immediately. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Musty odors often indicate hidden mold in ductwork or HVAC components. Inspection and cleaning with containment and negative air prevents spore spread. Spraying disinfectants only treats surface contamination. Increasing airflow may disperse spores without removal, and replacing filters alone does not address underlying microbial growth. Best practices follow ICAC standards emphasizing source removal, containment, aerification. Question 22. Given the circumstances, is Alvarez finds condensation forming inside wall cavities of a commercial building? Which approach best prevents mold proliferation? A. Improve insulation, ventilation, and eliminate water intrusion sources. B. Paint walls with moisture-resistant paint. C. Install fans to increase air circulation without addressing insulation. D. Ignore condensation as it will dissipate naturally. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Proper insulation and moisture control are essential to prevent mold in wall cavities. Painting or using fans alone does not remove trapped moisture and can exacerbate growth. Ignoring condensation allows spores to proliferate and compromise indoor air quality. Industry best practices prioritize structural moisture management, ventilation, and environmental monitoring to maintain safe, mold-free conditions. Question 23. In a context of HVAC system design, Mr. Simmons observes the oversized ductwork in a new office building results in low airflow velocity and moisture accumulation. What should he do? A. Rebalance airflow and adjust system controls to optimize humidity and airflow. B. Apply antimicrobial coatings to ducts. C. Increase fan speed to maximum. D. Ignore the issue since the ducts are new. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Rebalancing airflow and adjusting system controls mitigates condensation by ensuring adequate velocity and preventing stagnant moisture. Coatings or increased fan speed without balancing may fail to resolve underlying airflow and humidity issues. Ignoring the problem risks hidden mold growth. HVAC system design must align with ASHRAE guidelines to optimize air distribution and prevent microbial colonization. Question 24. While analyzing moisture dynamics, Patel finds a leaky roof causing water intrusion in an attic. Which remediation step best aligns with mold prevention principles? They stop the water intrusion, dry affected materials, and remove compromised insulation. B. Apply a biocide on wet surfaces immediately. C. Install a dehumidifier only without removing wet materials. D. Ignore the leak and monitor for visible mold growth. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Stopping water intrusion and drying affected areas addresses the root cause, while removing compromised insulation eliminates mold-prone materials. Applying biocide alone without material removal or moisture control is ineffective. Using only a dehumidifier may slow growth but cannot eliminate existing contamination. Effective remediation requires moisture control, source elimination, and remove contaminated substrates per ICAC and EPA standards. Question 25. Based on the information, Mr. Evans inspects a gymnasium HVAC system and finds microbial growth on evaporator coils. What should be his immediate action? A. Establish containment, clean coils thoroughly, and maintain negative air. B. Apply spray disinfectant and continue system operation. C. Ignore minor growth since it's unlikely to affect occupants. D. Replace the entire HVAC system. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Effective remediation involves containment and thorough cleaning to prevent spore spread. Applying biocides without containment risks exposure. Ignoring microbial growth allows proliferation, and replacing the system is rarely necessary if components can be cleaned. Core cleaning, moisture control, and post-remediation verification ensure the system is safe for reoccupancy and aligns with industry standard protocols. Question 26. Through the lens of post-remediation verification is how it discovers elevated spore counts in a recently remediated office. What is the recommended response? A. Conduct additional cleaning and retest to confirm results. B. Assume remediation is complete and allow occupancy. C. Apply a broad-spectrum disinfectant fog throughout the building. D. Increase HVAC airflow to disperse spores. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Post-remediation verification ensures both visible and airborne mold have been addressed. Additional cleaning and retesting are required when spore counts remain high. Fogging or increasing airflow alone does not remove spores from hidden locations. Verification per HRConquer confirms the effectiveness of containment, cleaning, and moisture management, ensuring occupant safety and preventing recontamination. Question 27. In an effort to prevent future mold growth, Mr. Thompson notices high indoor humidity in a residential basement. Which long-term strategy is most effective? A. Install dehumidifiers, monitor moisture levels, and address any water intrusion sources. B. Spray antimicrobial agents throughout the basement. C. Increase furnace heat to dry the space. D. Leave the space ventilated naturally without moisture control. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Managing humidity with dehumidifiers and addressing water intrusion eliminates conditions conducive to mold growth. Spraying antimicrobial agents without moisture control treats symptoms but does not prevent recurrence. Increasing heat or relying on natural ventilation is insufficient for consistently controlling relative humidity. Long-term prevention requires integrated moisture management, monitoring, remediation aligned with industry best practices. Question 20. While evaluating HVAC-specific remediation, Isley finds water pooling in a rooftop unit's drain pan. Which procedure best prevents mold growth? A. Remove standing water, clean the pan and ensure proper drainage. B. Apply antimicrobial spray directly to the pan without cleaning. C. Increase fan speed to dry the pan. D. Ignore pooling since it is occasional. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Removing standing water and cleaning the pan eliminates the substrate mold requires. Applying biocides without cleaning does not remove existing growth. Increasing fan speed or ignoring pooling allows continued microbial proliferation. Proper remediation focuses on moisture elimination, cleaning and monitoring to prevent recurrence consistent with HRConquer and ASHRAE guidelines for HVAC maintenance. Question 29. When faced with visible mold on insulation behind drywall, Mr. Johnson must decide the best remediation approach. What should he do? A. Remove the affected insulation and drywall while establishing containment. B. Spray biocide and repaint the wall. C. Dry the wall with fans only. D. Cover mold with sealant to prevent exposure. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Moldy insulation and drywall act as nutrient sources and must be removed to prevent regrowth. Biocides, drying, or sealants alone do not eliminate contamination and may trap moisture, exacerbating the problem. Containment prevents spore migration during removal. Following HRConquer best practices, remediation targets both contaminated materials and moisture control, ensuring a safe environment for occupants. Question 30. In a modern context of mold remediation, Is Fernandez supervises a team working in a commercial attic with visible mold. Would PPE practice meet safety standards? A. Ensure all workers wear respirators, gloves, and protective clothing within containment areas. B. Allow workers to wear gloves only. C. Rely on ventilation and normal clothing. D. Apply antimicrobial spray while using minimal protection. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Full EPE with respirators, gloves, and protective clothing is essential to protect workers from spores and prevent cross-contamination. Using only gloves, normal clothing, or relying on ventilation fails to meet OSHA safety standards and industry best practices. Effective mold remediation requires proper PPE containment and negative air management to safeguard worker health during all stages of cleaning, removed